Welcome back everyone to another Company of Heroes 2 replay cast, and this time we're going to have a 4v4 sent in by Polite People over here, playing as the Soviets. His allies are going to be Arrow, playing also as the Soviets, Sabinho, and Mialik. And on the opposing side we're going to have the Blue Division, of course OKW, Wehrmacht, Blau Division. Yeah, well, it's the same name, but just this one's in German, and he's part of a clan. More people of the clan, Rommel Spain, and then yet more people of the clan, Espectre. So I'm kind of sure that all these guys are actually buddies. Haven't checked in their profiles, but yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And yeah, the map is part of Hamburg, as you can see. So, well, for the Germans, it's gonna be a nice 4v4. They're gonna be able to just kind of fortify up. Rojos de mierda, shitty, like shitty Reds. That would be like fucking Reds. I'm guessing he's talking about the Soviets, because there's 4 Soviets. Anyway, we have you know, just people going on to the left-hand side. Let's see if this fight it probably goes to the way of the Sherm Pioneers. Although reinforcements coming in from the 2nd Conscript Squad might bring these guys to a bit of a trouble. As you can see, the Cube Wagon are going to provide a little bit of flanking fire. In the meantime, on the right-hand side, we have the conscripts trying to push up against these Sherm Pioneers, doing quite well. The problem is this MG42 coming up for Blau Division. This could be a little bit of a problem for these conscripts. They might have to retreat or flank this machine gun. I don't really see any unit poised to flank, though, so this might not be that great. In the meantime, the Cube Wagon is getting kind of swarmed in the front by the massive amount of conscripts, and the machine gun also getting swarmed, gets flanked, however manages to get a burst off on the conscripts who are actually outside the arc somehow, and suppresses them, of course allowing it to escape. So that was very well done. We have a flank coming in. Of course, Sabinho is using his conscripts to get behind this mortar, this machine gun, and the Cube Wagon. And now he's going to charge down the street and probably execute the machine gun crew from the, the rear. Although he's shooting at the mortar crew first, and has actually thrown a Molotov that hits the little silo, thus allowing the machine gun to escape. In the meantime, it seems like the Germans on the left-hand side are really loading up on the mortars, and so this could be a little bit of a problem, as we do have Polite People going for some Maxims, and his ally Arrow is also going for some Maxims. So double tier 2 might get countered by the mortar spam from Expectre, and that might not be exactly what they were hoping for. Of course, Arrow and Polite People can also get some mortars of their own, so this is likely what's going to happen. But the 2 German mortars are going to still be a very, very big threat, and with no conscripts to push up, well, let's just say that the Soviets on the left-hand side are going to be in trouble. Whereas on the right, it seems like the successes that the Soviets were having earlier are getting reversed by Volksgrenadiers from the Blue Division. And Blau Division also going for the mortars. So a couple of mortars and a couple of machine guns, so very, very heavily focused on those support weapons. And yeah, it looks like the OKW are going to provide the actual mobile force that pushes up. Unfortunately, these conscripts do not get focus fired and killed, and the retreat, maybe the last shot. Nope, oh wow, sniped at the last possible moment by the Volksgrenadiers. So well done on the right side. It seems like the Germans are going to be able to consolidate that. In the center, Sabinho is pushing up a little bit, but he's only going to be able to get a VP and not really much else over there. And this flanking MG is going to get flanked itself by these Grenadiers. Although the Grenadiers might get caught, they will not, and so they will be able to escape and cause further havoc. Yep. Okay, so Lashed Mechanized Company already going up for Spectre. Yeah, he's gonna probably go for the Flame Half-Track. He's got a lot of munitions. Sally over here, Rommel Spain, doesn't really have anything set up with the Supply Half-Track, but hey, might just go for something. Tier 1 coming up for Blau Division. Looks like we have a Partisan squad in the rear from Sabinho, so of course choosing the Partisan doctrine. It destroyed, looks like, a truck that was setting up, most likely a mechanized, because this kind of looks like what the mechanized corpse should look like. Anyway, so that was, I think, Blue Division's Supply Half-Track. Of course, goes for another one right away, but well done getting those Partisans out, and, well, very, very effective, definitely. Looks like he will also be able to get into the building and massacre some of these Volksgrenadiers, although 2 windows against, you know, the Volksgrenadiers might not be that great. Come on, Papashas at close range. 4 versus 6. Nope. 2 models go down instantly. Let's see if this is a Molotov. This is a Molotov and not a grenade. But it does do a little bit of damage, and it's 1 versus 3, so the Partisans are likely to go down. Although, he gets the double kill, and can he reload? Nope. He almost massacred all of the Volksgrenadiers, but unfortunately his killing kill streak, I guess, didn't net him the airstrike, and so he was gunned down eventually. In the meantime, in the center, we have polite people pushing up with some conscripts. He actually decided to go with some extra conscript squads to prevent himself getting essentially bottled up into a defensive position. I completely agree with this decision. He needed those conscripts to have some kind of mobility so that he could cap, so that he could move up and, ooh, unfortunately his machine gun crew is dead. So that he could attack the enemy and flank him. However, as you can see, a Spectre is going for the Flame Half-Track as expected. And this, well, definitely isn't going to be all that easy to deal with just conscripts. Although, mechanized support tactics, tank hunter tactics, and conscript support means that 2 of these doctrines have PTRSs. So, oh no, once again the Partisans striking from the rear and destroying the mechanized. Well done by Sabino. Actually going to plant some mines as well. Sending one of the squads up to just kind of try to flank this mortar crew. And the Sturm Pioneers might be able to fend them off. But, oh, it's 3 against 1. And the Papashas are going to blaze away. Force them, you know, back to base. And now the Partisans have free reign on the mortars. This could be pretty dangerous for Blau Division because he's going to lose his precious mortars. Which, well, isn't exactly what he was hoping for. The machine gun over here might be able to set up and switch sides of the buildings, switch the facing in time to, you know, put down these Partisans, but might not be. The mortars are going to almost be stolen. I'm guessing that this mortar crew is going to be cleared away by the Panzer. Oh, they upgrade the Panzerschrecks just in time to not have the firepower of the SDGs to deal with the retreating mortar crew. So unfortunately for the Germans, that unfortunately timed upgrade does result in the unfortunate loss of the mortar. Lots of unfortunate. Well, double mortar for Arrow along with an anti-tank gun does secure sort of his position as the support spammer of the team. The problem is, well, there's also another AT gun, okay? So they're definitely pretty prepared right now against vehicles. Where is the Flame Half-Track? It is on the right-hand side, though. So well done by Spectre coming in and helping out his allies. This is definitely what he should have done. After seeing that, you know, his allies were having some trouble, especially with those Partisans, the Flame Half-Track is really the perfect counter for that, although he needs to be careful because Sabino at this point does have 3 CPs. Of course, Partisan tank hunters are a danger to any kind of German vehicles. Mortars just kind of raining down on these conscripts. They're probably going to have to retreat. Yeah, most likely. Please retreat. Although well done with this flank, doesn't manage to force away the mortars. There's a massive swarm of German infantry, and looks like one of the infantry squads goes down, most likely this conscript. So yeah, while the massive OKW swarm does come back to save the day, you know, Axis are starting to buckle a little bit on the left-hand side. This is well, of course, and good for the Soviets over here, but they need to be pressing their advantages harder because they have precious few advantages. So really, at this point, considering the kind of force composition that they have, they need to be very, very careful about their positioning of units because they've got so many support weapons. They really need to not get flanked like this, and oh, it looks like the Maxim is going to get completely massacred by the OKW swarm. Machine gun does manage to set up around, however, facing into the advancing German troops and just kind of cutting them down. This is well done, of course, but looks like most of the horde has managed to avoid suppression, which is pretty good for them. In the meantime, we have an attempt at a flank by these Soviet troops, Sabino's little group, and trying to cross the bridge. They get suppressed by the machine gun, which is, of course, just kind of covering this whole area. For some reason, the Soviets on this side aren't really using their mortars to clear out this machine gun. Might be because they're trying to deal with the enemy mortars first. Fuel cache So there's actually a lot of caches going up for the Germans. We have a Spectra building, 2 munitions caches, 3 munitions caches actually, and 1 fuel cache, which is, well, let's just say an interesting composition. That is a lot of munitions. I'm not sure that they need so many munitions. That was an unfortunate Molotov placement. It actually didn't hit any of the models that were in the windows. Anyway, still, yeah, it's a quite interesting arrangement, especially considering how much manpower was spent on these. This is 1,000 manpower worth of caches. In fact, it's 1,250 because there's yet another fuel cache going up for Blau Division. So, of course, the Axis really planning to go ahead into the late game quite heavily. The Allies only having 1 fuel cache from Mialik are basically going to be at a disadvantage in terms of long-term, not grenade, I just heard grenade, I'm like grenade, long-term resource income. So, of course, they're going to need to essentially push ahead and press their advantages right now rather than wait for the late game. Although with the kind of setup that they have, with so many players going with the tier 2, and of course getting a lot of support weapons, we have Mialik going with some support weapons. We have, of course, Sabino being the exception with all of his partisans. But the other 2 players, Polite People and Arrow, going with a lot of support. So not really the best possible composition to attack and be aggressive and be proactive. Except, of course, for Sabino. Sabino finds out about the fuel cache, going to plant around some more mines, because why not? Looks like this time, finally, the Blue Division has decided to build his little mechanized regiment headquarters farther away from any buildings where partisans could potentially spawn, and it manages to set up and start to produce some units for the German war effort. In the meantime, it seems like in the center we have a bit of an aborted assault by Polite People, who's actually gone with conscript support tactics, which allows him to get some Papa Shahs on his conscripts. Rapid conscription, which is of course going to be relatively useful at replenishing his conscript forces, especially as they're getting right now burned. So this could be pretty bad. There goes the flame half-track finally from the fire of the anti-tank gun, but not before it did a lot of damage to the Soviet infantry. So this is definitely looking quite good for the Germans. They have basically got the current advantage in terms of map control resources. They're winning most of their engagements, and they even have an advantage when it comes to the perspectives for the late game, as they do have most of the fuel caches and munitions caches, so they have a better resource income. They also have, of course, you know, the German late game, and it seems like also the German players are really heading when it comes to the teching. We have, well, massive artillery barrages, actually. We have a Stuka coming in from, I think that was, yes, that was Blue Division. So we have the Stuka coming in for him. We have an MG-18 strafing run, no, MG-17, sorry, strafing run on this whole area. And looking at the teching, we have, of course, Tech 2 and, not Tech 2, Tier 2 and Tier 3 for Blue Division. Ooh, here comes the grenade. Here comes the second grenade. This could be dangerous. Okay, manages to escape. Looks like he's getting flanked. Yeah, it's a little bit of a strange engagement down here. There's so many Panzerschreck squads from the Germans right here that it seems kind of weird that the Allies aren't winning more. But, I mean, we have to consider that the Allies are also basically not supporting any mainline infantry squads. For some reason, most of these players seem to be very, very reckless with their mainline infantry, and either have lost it or not even brought it out at all. Of course, this is partially because everyone went for all of those support weapons, but the partisans are definitely going to do quite well in this kind of scenario, probably murdering these Stern Pioneers quite easily. Back to the teching. So we have the double Tier 2 and Tier 3 for Blue Division. We have Blau Division with Battle Phase 2 and actually has built the support armor core. And there's an Ostwind rattling its way towards the front line as we speak. Rommel Spain has all of the buildings. And, well, that's probably going to mean the KT, although he's breakthrough, so might go for the Jagdtiger as well. And Spectre, of course, going with Tier 4. So he's maybe gonna go for a Panzerwerfer. I mean, on the left side, there's this very, very dangerous blob of support that the Panzerwerfer could help counter. What also could be useful for him would be a Broom Bear, of course, to also help out countering these support weapons, and also doing quite well at sort of spearheading any German pushes into the Allied-held areas of the map. Instead, for the Allies, we have We have tier 4 for polite people, so he might go for something. He doesn't really have all that much fuel right now, but hey. His ally has gone for a Katyusha arrow. Of course, tier 4. Sabinho has tier 3 and a Su-76. And the last player, Mialik, has tier 4 as well. So pretty much everybody has reached their highest teching point. The 4v4 format just kind of allowing for massive fuel cache investments and all of that, just kind of speeding up the teching. Very strange that the allies didn't even try to use their sort of mid-game light vehicles, though, except for the Su-76. But the Su-76 really isn't what you'd expect as a shock unit, right? Was really more thinking about the T-70, which is, yeah, I mean, it's weird that they didn't go for any of those, but looks like they're looking for the late game as well as the Germans are looking for the late game, which, I mean, I can't really see that this is going to go well in any way for the Allies, because I mean, the Germans are just going to have the better late game. So it's going to really come down to tactics and how everyone uses their sort of assets, because the strategic picture looks to be pretty much in favor of the Axis for now. We have a bit of an attempt to recapture the right-hand side, Flakpanzer Ostwind being forced away, but looks like the Maxims can't really hold back all of this infantry that's coming through for the Germans. And yeah, we're going to have the Stern Pioneers flanking around. Always want to call them Panzergrenadiers. Only going to get stopped by these partisans. The partisans are now proliferating in massive numbers. Sabinho is definitely not going to have any sort of regular infantry units. And the partisan spam, I don't really like it all that much, because it's one of those kind of tactics where, yeah, sure, at one point, the enemy's going to really realize how to deal with this, and that is to get better infantry units, like Panzergrenadiers, that can straight up just deal with the partisans, rather than sort of invest so much into support weapons. Especially because, like, the biggest thing about the partisans is the surprise effect of when they come out of one building behind you, or when they hide into a bit of cover and then jump out of stealth when they're behind you. Again, it's very, very much about the ambush aspect. So if they're actually coming at you straight from the front, like right now, they're not really hard to deal with, especially when there's a machine gun around, because they're very, very weak when it comes to defending themselves. They're very weak when it comes to long range, so their effectiveness is more as a surprise attack shock troop that wants to get in close and use its grenades and all that. Panther tank in the center for a Spectre. He's also got some Opel Blitzes, so looks like he's going to go with a little bit of a resource strategy. I mean, like the Germans as a whole are doing. And, of course, cargo truck going on the munitions point that can't be in any way cached up. So that is a good idea, I think, from Mr. Spectre. And, well, it seems like the Germans, yeah, they've basically consolidated the free VP line. Oh, sorry, this is actually a bit of a mistake. The southern VP is under the control of the Allies, but the Germans have definitely consolidated a bit of a defensive line. We even have booby traps coming in, although the Allies are starting to get some answers on the field. We have an Su-85 coming through for polite people. We have the Su-76 still kind of just raging away with that artillery piece. But, yeah, with the Katyusha on the field for Arrow, actually going up to 10 kills, I'm guessing that the German defenses are going to be starting to get tested a little bit in these few minutes. Especially these sort of pockets of support weapons. They're going to be very, very vulnerable to the Katyusha. And with the Panther being around, the Katyusha might have to be a little bit careful. But, of course, Su-85. So Su-85 should be able to cover the Katyusha from the vices of the Panther. Here comes another Stuka barrage, which could be potentially dangerous. Looks like it's actually the rocket barrage from the Blue Division. Of course, the Firestorm Doctrine being a little bit of an annoyance to deal with. Both the Firestorm Doctrine and the Stuka being built by him is kind of an odd choice. The Stuka does fire on the Su-76, but the Su-76, of course, doesn't really take all that much damage unless you're going to be quite lucky. It's probably not going to be all that effective to fire Stukas at just kind of any vehicles. But, oh well, looks like we have a bit of an attempt in the center for the Soviets to push up, and that could be working to their favor. In fact, yeah, the 75mm, no, sorry, 85mm and the 76mm are just kind of pulling their weight, really. And the Jagdpanzer and the Panther are having to retreat away, although the Jagdpanzer is supported by Stuka's Fuß by Rommel Spain, so that already has 12 kills. Although it looks like most of them were support weapon crews that didn't really have that much of an impact at all. And yeah, there's a Schwer Panzer quarters over here, of course, from Rommel Spain we saw earlier. So if the Allies try to push up a little bit further into this sort of killing zone, they're not going to have a good time. But as long as they hold the central VP, they're going to be in a decent spot, considering that they really don't want to get triple capped at all. And the southern VP is part of their sphere of influence. So if they can keep them sort of confined to the north, and by them I mean the Germans, well, they're going to be in a okay position. Once again, the late game does, or rather should, still belong to the Germans, but as long as the Allies can keep pressure up and get some VPs under their control, maybe bleed the Germans a little bit, they're going to be in an okay spot and be able to continue up the fight. So what are these players going for? Sturmpanzer 4, so, sorry. Ooh, actually, pretty big Panzergrenadier force by Blue Division. So Blue Division definitely going for that. I don't know, I'm going to have a lot of Panzergrenadiers, and then I'm going to get anti-infantry with vehicles approach, which might not be all that effective, although, of course, does deal with the little A half-track. One day, this Katyusha, however, is going to hit, and that day is not going to be fun for the Panzergrenadiers. So that's kind of what I'm worried about for this Panzergrenadiers. In fact, double grenade, what the heck? Double grenade does not deal as much damage as it could have. And yeah, there we are. Retreats away, although the Stuka does manage to get a bit of a clip on these conscripts. Yeah, it's going to be inconsequential. Massive German push on the left side. Yeah, that's going to get repelled by the Zsu. And the Zsu, along with the Katyusha barrage at point blank range, this could be very, very devastating. Let's see. It does not kill anyone. That was very unfortunate, actually, for Arrow. Alright, push on the right side with the Sturmpanzer. I mean, the Su-76 is not enough to deal with the Sturmpanzer one-on-one, I don't think. But with the support of these conscripts, getting some anti-tank grenades, this is going to be enough. And yeah, essentially, ooh, abandoned, actually, on the Jagdpanzer. Su-85 tries to retreat, and it does succeed. Another Su-85 from Arrow gets panzerfausted by the Grenadiers. So there's, okay. I'm gonna need to ignore what's happening right now on the field because I need to talk about what these players are doing. Okay, so Heavy Panzer Corps for Spectra. He's gone for Pan for Sturmpanzer, and, well, massive amounts of Opel Blitzes, fuel caches, with one Grenadier squad and just a few support units. So he's very, very much focused on that late game armor, getting a lot of, looks like munitions to sort of fuel up his call-in strategy, I guess. And he's also gone with assault support, so that means he's got the Tiger available. And so this decision of going for Tier 4 is kind of puzzling, because you'd think that he could have gone for a lot of Tier 3 units, like a lot of a Panzer 4 spam, and then gone for the Tiger, but then, I don't know, he decided to go with the Tier 4, which is, I guess, fine. We have a few elite infantry squads from Rommel Spain and a couple of, you know, Volksgrenadiers. He's got the Stuka, which is doing okay. And, of course, having 4 buildings set up might mean Jagdtiger, might mean King Tiger, might mean, I don't know, might mean Panther spam, who knows. And, of course, Blau Division, going with Lightning War, also has access to the Tiger, but his strategy looks to be more revolving around Panzergrenadiers. He's got a couple of anti-infantry vehicles that he's trying to use to sort of keep this very, very minimal Soviet infantry force at bay. Of course, with the amount of partisans there are around, his vehicles need to be protected against potential AT partisans, so having the Ostwind does make sense. And it looks like his Panzergrenadiers, using the sprint ability actually from the Lightning War, trying to get into close range with that T-34-85, but they do hit a mine. Last Panzerschreck rounds does not manage to get a kill, and looks like the conscripts, the partisans from the flank are going to force away these German troops. Whereas Blue Division is going for a Panther, and he's also got all 4 of the buildings. So he could have also gone for the KT. Looks like he's going to lose his Veteran C5 Focus Grenadiers, which is very, very bad for him. And, well, his Strike Pioneers are being pushed back with very, very low HP. Right now we have a bit of a German anti-tank strafe coming through, but it's not going to really have any targets to shoot at. The Su-76 kind of cleverly moving out of the way. And the Stuka for, of course, Blue Division is doing quite well. He's got 27 kills. There goes a Ostwind. But, again, 27, or rather, just quickly pointing out that 27 kills on the Stuka doesn't really mean much if you don't push up with your infantry and establish control over the territory. You can actually defend it. It's just going to be a little bit of a cool number and, you know, a little bit more experience for your artillery unit. What you want to have with your artillery unit is impact that is actually felt on the battlefield itself. And that's not happening right now. In fact, the Stuka looks like it's dead from a nice flank from these partisans. The partisans also looks like they were able to call in, or rather, spot for a call-in of a precision bombing strike from an L2 by Arrow. Although the precision bombing strike did hit the again, not conscripts, they were partisans. Again, hit the partisans as they were retreating, and, well, didn't manage to finish off this Schwer Panzer quarters completely, although there's some 80 partisans spawned at this building that are destroying a fuel cache, and then can probably just jump in the building, use the building to protect themselves from the fire of the Schwer Panzer headquarters, and get a few last remaining shots in to destroy the structure. The Allies have been forced back a little bit from the left-hand side. Looks like their position over here is a little bit compromised. But we have Arrow starting to get with, you know, kind of flirt with the idea of actually having some infantry. And he's got a few guards, which is, of course, a very, very good decision. He's got an Su-85. He's got the Zusu to cover his flanks and be a very, very nice sort of super MG. The Katyusha does manage to get an excellent barrage off on the battle headquarters. So what he's actually doing is quite commendable. He's helping out his allies on the right side, and, well, both with air strikes and artillery, so that's kind of helping him out in establishing themselves and pushing back the Germans on that side. Whereas his friend over here, Polite People, is also getting kind of, I guess this looks a little bit more like he's getting pushed back into the right side. He's got his defensive units just kind of huddled up around the central parts of the map. And, well, this kind of massive swarm of German troops is going to be hard to deal with for him, because he's lost all of his MGs except one that is right now back at base. So he's right now in a little bit of a vulnerable position. Looks like on the right side we have a big push from the Panthers. One of them, though, hits a mine, and it's probably going to go down to the T-3485. There's a Flampanzerhetzer, and that's not going to be really all that useful. Although, what is going to be useful is the Tiger from Bla Division. Looks like the Panther was abandoned. That's very, very bad, but the T-3485 can charge in and get behind the Tiger. It's not doing that. It's trying to focus on the Hetzer first, along with the support of an Su-85 and an Su-76, which could be a bad idea as a couple of Panzerschreck units come in and approach from the side. The T-3485 does not try to get behind the Tiger for some reason and just lets the Tiger get away, although the second T-3485 decides to continue chasing alone, despite the fact that these SUs are not going to be very, very exposed to these Panzerschreck fires. The Panther that was recaptured is probably going to go ahead and get put down by that Panzerschreck unit. Looks like the T-3485 that was pushing in tries to destroy a SWS supply half-track. I'm not sure what happened to these partisans with Panzerschrecks, but probably died. There goes the truck. It's dead, and the Sturmpanzer that was trying to do something will not be able to do too much. Alright, and, well, looks like the sort of landscape of the central area of the map is still kind of no man's land, and, well, both sides can really profit from sending some units up here. Although we have a Tiger from Spectre as well, and the Jagdtiger from Rommel, Spain. So he's going for the Jagdtiger rather than the KT. An interesting idea, especially considering his friend over here. Where is he? The Blue Division. His friend over here is building some Hetzers, which is yeah, it's an interesting idea. Anyway, nice flank coming in from Sabino, actually. But again, they're not flanking enough. Not getting behind the enemy. They're just kind of going to the side and then going politely to their front. Like, I don't know. I don't know what it is with people and not flanking when you have an opportunity to actually flank. I don't know. Still results in the wiping out of one of those Panzer Grenadiers. The Panther has to escape. One of the Su-76s goes down, and looks like the Flampanzer is going to be able to force away the machine gun, but as a whole, the Allies are really resurgent on the right side. They're about to recapture all this entire area. And the Katyusha over here getting 17 kills is doing quite fine. We have the Jagdpanzer 470 and the Tiger that are coming back. But yeah, it's right now it looks like more and more likely that the Allies are going to be able to capture the right side and hold it, especially that vital fuel point. In terms of resources, we finally have the Allies getting a little bit of a lead on the Germans, at least when it comes to fuel. Only by 2 points a minute, but sure, that is already enough. And in terms of munitions, the Axis are still ahead, but it's not really that important to be ahead in munitions. It's a nice bonus. The Katyushas at this point are really starting to hurt the German troops. Whenever they surge forward to make an attack, they get pushed back by the Katyushas, and that's not exactly good for them. What they need to do is try to find a way what to do with that, which would of course entail either trying to counter battery them with the Stukas, although the Stukas are both dead? No, okay, one of the Stukas is still alive with 44 kills. But yeah, trying to either counter battery them with the Stukas or hunt them down with the Panthers like dogs in the night. And they're not really doing either. They're letting the Katyushas just kind of pan away at their units, victimizing their blobs, and just generally causing a lot of havoc. So this could be pretty bad for them. We have some massive artillery. Yeah, very massive artillery. Gonna destroy the Schwerpanzer quarters. So the Allied artillery superiority once again being very, very valuable. And yeah. Oh boy. Taking a sip of tea. Rip SU. You don't put SUs in this kind of a position. They're way too vulnerable. Although, it is going to be able to destroy the Panther. Probably, thanks to the buttoning vehicle and the help of the other SUs. So that's well done. And actually, that wasn't the very, very heavily vetted up SU. So Polite People smartly kept his vet-free SU back, especially because it was repairing as well. So now this thing is just kind of free to brutalize the German armor, because vet-free SUs are just so great. So yeah, the Germans are going to have to rely on infantry. Although what is happening on the right side, I have no idea. It looks like we have a massive push from the Soviets, somehow managing to push the Germans back to their base, which is quite surprising, to be completely honest, because they shouldn't have been in such a good position. But it looks like the Katyusha sort of constant barrages and the sort of tank pushes from the T-34-85s are really starting to pay their dues and get some results done. Of course, you know, when the Panzer Grenadiers start knocking on the door, they're going to have to retreat a little bit, but oh boy, that's a blob and a half. So the blob from Sabino is going to push up, and well, this Jagdtiger needs to be a little bit careful though, because yeah, this is a lot of partisans, so yeah, he's going to have to retreat. There's a lot of anti-tank grenades, some Panzer Shreks over here, and of course they're getting help from the two, there's actually 3 TDs in the rear, one of them being a ISU-152, so this Vera Boy going to terrorize those German beasts, and that could be pretty bad for them. I mean, ISU-152 not being the exactly strongest at anti-vehicle, the Jagdtiger definitely can do over it 1v1, but of course, it does have those HE rounds that can terrorize the infantry. T-34-85 goes down to a Sturmpanzer Brummbär, although, oh, actually, finally looks like the building here was destroyed to prevent partisan spawns. That is definitely a good decision from the German part. More Panthers. Let's check out the overall balance of power, shall we? Looks like we have 130, 90, 240-ish. No, 220. And then 240 pop cap for the Axis. We have 90 plus... Ooh. Plus 160, so 250 for the Allies. The Allies being slightly ahead, but really no actual... Oh no, that's not a good idea. No actual big differences, but there's an S2 heavy tank for the allies that is in a very, 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 very dangerous position. You don't send S2s alone. You just don't do that. These things need infantry support. Now, this time I got lucky and found the unsupported Brum Bear that was already damaged and managed to finish it off, although it's on a slow trek of destruction. Still, the S2 just... No. This thing is vulnerable as hell from the rear. This thing has a very, very slow turret traverse, so it really can't deal with any threats that are coming from the not front. And its reload is slow. So it's one of those vehicles that you want very, very well supported by other units that can make up for its lack of DPS and flexibility, and can complement its very, very strong armor, its excellent HE capabilities, and its relatively strong penetration and damage. So really, Mialik should be keeping his conscript squads around the S2 all the time, and preferably keep the S2 around his allies' units. Although it looks like Sabino is going with a lot of T-34-76s, which might want to do their own thing and kind of flank around. And once again, yeah, as I said, this thing is vulnerable as hell. As you can see, these Panzerschrecks are really doing a number on it, and because there wasn't really enough support, it's gonna be in a bad way. Looks like the Panzerschrecks are trying to flank, but they will manage to succeed and sort of get the S2 to safety. Now, when it comes to actual units on the field, though, again, we have S2 plus Katyusha. There's going to be a lot of Katyusha, so let's count the Katyusha first. We have, looks like, 4 Katyusha as a whole for the allies, as opposed to only 1. Well done push, by the way. But, yep, value of the Katyusha being once again sort of shown, and the lovely Zissou is just kind of suppressing everything. Come on. Yep, finished off. So the 4 Katyusha, definitely superior to the Germans' 1 Stuka. Are there any more artillery pieces on the German side? It does not look like it. Nope. And so that's a very, very big advantage for the Allies, of course, as long as the game sort of continues in this kind of a stalemate type of going. It's gonna give an advantage to the side with the more artillery, of course. Oh boy, 59 kills for this one. Yeah, this is just crazy. And yeah, basically, the Allies, other than that, have a massive swarm of tank destroyers. We have 1 Su-85, then we have 2 more, so that's 3, then that's 5, and then, of course, the gap with the S2. That's 5 Su-85s, and then we have a few T-34-85s. One of them is coming through. We have... this guy has... No, that's not the guy with something else. We have polite people with some T-34-76s, actually, which should be a decent decision. And Sabino also had some T-34-76s, but he has lost them, so... Yeah, having a few T-34-76s are, of course, going to be very useful. Because you can get them around the flanks, you can use them for all sorts of various nasty stuff. For some reason, the Allies, though, haven't really devoted any attention to the left-hand side. If they had dispatched a few units to this side, they could have definitely captured some of these points. There's only 1 machine gun and 1... No, sorry, 2 machine guns and 1 Raketenwerfer covering this entire area. So just 1 T-34-76 could actually clear out all of that and allow the infantry to come in and cap some points. Although by sort of concentrating on the center so much, the Allies are using their advantages being the massive amount of tank destroyers that they have and their artillery superiority to their advantage, just allowing for a bigger concentration of firepower into one small sector of the front. There goes the S-85, though. Come on, chase. Nah. Sad. Really now? Once again, looks like one of the trucks went down. This time it's a well-timed flank by conscripts, actually. No partisans were harmed in the making of that push. Look at these Su-85s. There goes the Panther. And yeah, essentially at this point, because of this Su-85 spam, the Germans need to find some way to flank around the Su-85s. Because if one unit gets behind all of these guys, it's going to throw them into absolute chaos as they try to scramble to get a little bit of a shot at it. So having that flank is really getting crucial for the Germans, not just because of the Su-85s, but also because of the need to hunt down those Katyusha. That are right now up to, well, we have 94 plus... where's the 4th Katyusha? Well, that's like 127 kills on all 4 Katyusha. So very, very dangerous. Why is there no music? I have no idea. So I really think that the Germans are making a big strategic mistake by not being as aggressive as they perhaps should be. Because it's just allowing the Allies to sit back, use their artillery, just kind of shielded behind their heavy tank and their tank destroyers, and just kind of allow the artillery to work and destroy the German infantry. Because of the destruction of the German infantry, it's not like the Germans are really going to have any successes on the VP front, nor the resources front is really going to improve for them at all, although they do have a massive lead when it comes to munitions. It's not going to be enough. Of course, the munitions does help in calling in a lot of artillery and airstrikes, but it's not enough to actually win the game unless you can push in and make your presence felt on the battlefield itself. Tiger comes through, tries to attack the south, but there's a massive, massive force from, looks like Serbino. No, sorry, Sabino, not Serbino. He's not a Serb. And the conscript goes down, unfortunately. Yep, once again the Germans being pushed away in this push. Looks like a Katyusha comes through. I'm just going to speed it up a little bit. That was a hilarious little brain ride. Anyway, yeah, but you had more armor coming through for the Germans, but against the infantry superiority of the Germans... No, sorry, not the Germans, the Allies. The infantry superiority that is entirely due to the artillery superiority, it's not really that big of a deal. Although, what is this T-34 horde waiting for? I do not know. Looks like the Katyushas are being flanked by a bit of an infantry spam by the OKW, and this is the time for these T-34s to move in and try to help out with this SU, because the SU is in an exposed position. It's going to get anti-tank grenaded by the Panzer Fusiliers, and in fact at this point it really should be the time for these units to push up and get a little bit of a revenge on these guys. It does look like the Panzerfaust are going to be enough to deal with one of those Su-85s. It's Vet 2, so that's a pretty good pickup. And for some reason these T-34s are not moving. Not sure what they're waiting for. It's allowing the Germans to put a little bit more pressure on the right side, although it doesn't look like that was very successful as the Panzer 470 goes up in flames. Assault gun in the fight. Well, right, what can the Germans do to break this? Well, yeah, they can flank. Like, they just really need to realize that they need to stop headbutting into this sort of axis of attack and this axis of attack. They need to go either here, like the Allies are doing. I mean, it's not like they really don't know that that place exists, because, oh, amazing fragmentation bombing, actually, combined with a Stuka barrage that actually destroys the ES-2. Well done. Anyway, the Allies are certainly using this little flanking route. I'm not sure why the Germans aren't. And also this side, although there's a potentially dangerous trap. I mean, this isn't a completed mine, so it's not gonna really blow up. Instead, what they're doing is they're trying to sit back and essentially play the game that the Allies are trying to play for them. Or rather, force them into playing. That being using artillery and heavy tanks, which is what the Allies are doing better because, well, they have 4 Katyusha against 1 Stuka. Alright, looks like the Tiger is going to manage to get a kill on the T-34-85. But these are like meaningless victories. Like, oh, sure, it's one T-34-85, but it can be replaced. Like Malik, well, he needs to replace the S2 heavy tank first. But what's really gonna make the Germans win is if they get to these things. If they can get to these things and destroy those, well, they're gonna be in a good spot. Although it looks like they've already partially gotten to one of them. Looks like one of the Katyusha is dead. It was a Katyusha from Arrow. It was actually the one with massive, massive kills. So this is pretty good for them. Again, they need to really take care of these Katyusha. Otherwise, they're not going to have an easy time. And what the Allies made as a mistake is that they focused a little bit too heavily on the tank destroyers and the artillery element, without really thinking about the fact that the Germans still possess a bit of an infantry blob that they can use to push up. So now they're using that infantry blob. Once the Katyusha are on cooldown, the infantry blob is basically able to push up without getting punished. And that's not good for them. Finally, a bit of a flank attempt from the Tiger. The Su-152 is still around for Arrow. Has he lost an Su-152? Because I don't remember seeing the first one ever. Yep, he lost one. So he needs to be very careful with these. They're expensive and all of that. And, well, yeah, looks like the Panzers on the right side, along with the German infantry, might be able to repel this conscript push. But once the SUs are repaired and they come back and they use the T-34 as well, then I'm guessing that those two tanks are not going to be able to stop it. And finally, the T-34s are moving in. They just kind of charge up the main road and find it completely void of enemy units. They get behind the Panther. The Panther is trying to chase them and prevent them from getting into the rear of the Jagdtiger. The Jagdtiger dodges a precision bombing strike from the Il-2. It will actually back itself up into a corner. Smart move so that it cannot be flanked from at least one side, and it's going to get some good damage dealt. Ram is going to get aborted by the fact that the Jagdtiger blows up from the fire of those tank guns. Looks like the Su-152 along with the T-34s are now going to set their sights on the Panther that is trying to run away desperately. Looks like one of the T-34s will try to ram the Tiger and it shocks it, but there's a second Tiger coming up from the rear that destroys the T-34. The second T-34 is eating damage from both the Broom Bear and is now going to die to the Tiger. But the Tiger that sort of forced itself through the smoke to attack the T-34 is now in a vulnerable position, getting hit by both the tank destroyers and the T-34 that is now trying to chase through the Panther, I'm guessing. The Panther, though, is protected by these German troops in the area. Might get Panzerfausted, this T-34, and that's going to be the end of this run. But it does decide to ram itself into the waiting mass of German infantry that was getting replenished by the battle quarters. Gets a lot of kills for its troubles. However, the Allies lost their entire T-34-76 force without really that much of an opportunity to replace it. The Germans lost the Jagdtiger, but they've instantly replaced it. They have lost no other vehicles. Looks like the Su-152 is still very, very heavily damaged, and the center part of the map is still contested. So no real victory from either side, although I'm tempted to give this to the Germans because they were able to at least preserve some of their most valuable units, like the Stuka that is now up to Veterancy 5. They were able to preserve the Veteran Panther. Well, it's not Veteran. It's almost about to be, though. And yeah, the Tigers proved their worth. Pretty significant that the Tiger from the Blau Division actually came to help out on the left. Because earlier on, he was very, very heavily focused on the right side. Although none of these players are too focused on one side, I wouldn't say that any of these are tunneled, really, in any particular way. It's, well, except for the Okinawa player. The Okinawa player is relatively tunneled onto the center. But other than him, we are in a pretty good spot for the Germans, considering the whole team coordination. Alright, let's check up on the Katyusha status. We have, oh my god, 87. We have 107. This guy is brand spanking new. Gets his first barrage. Still, 107 kills plus the 50-something that the Katyusha that went down took with it. Still means that their Katyushas are having a big, big, big impact, especially considering the thinning infantry forces of the Germans. We have a Spectre with basically nothing. Blue Division actually is able to hold up a little bit. Blau Division, he's fitting out as well. And Ramos Spain also really on the last legs when it comes to infantry. The Allies were really never basing their forces on infantry except for the weird combination of Sabino and a few of the guards over here from Arrow. But as it stands, the Allies have a little bit of an infantry superiority because once again, those well done artillery barrages have deprived the Germans of a lot of their manpower. Looks like we have a big push on the right side. For the Allies, at least. And this could be dangerous, but the flame heads are still around and still derps its fire into the partisans. They're gonna have to retreat. Although, Katyusha being called into that battery protector is probably not gonna destroy it. It's being fired at maximum range. We have a flank attempt from this Panther. It does manage to get behind one of the S-85s, but the other S-85 turns around and gets some shots in. The other S-85, however, by turning around, exposes itself to a Tiger that comes in. And there's a Schwer Panzer headquarters in a very precarious position over here that could just very, very easily be destroyed. Alright. Yes, finally seems like the Germans are being a little bit more proactive. This is kind of strange, actually, after all this time that they've just decided to be more aggressive, but looks like the Panther finally comes through, although there's no support coming in from the Blue Division, who's still going to spam just so many flame howitzers. He's wasted so many resources on these, and the Panther itself is going to get gambagged by a lot of T-34s, and it's going to have to retreat. In the meantime, in the center, we have a nice flank coming in from this Panther. The Tiger's coming from the front, along with a Panther of his own to support. The Panther in the south is taking a lot of damage from the combined sort of combined fire of these Su-85s. The Zvera Boy does destroy one of the Tigers. The Panther over here destroys one of the SUs. The Zvera Boy goes down to the other Panther. This guy is still alive and is actually not going to go down, very luckily for the Germans. The bottom vehicle goes down on the other Panther, and that's probably going to go down from the Su-85 and T-34 combined firepower. However, this was a pretty harsh loss for the Allies to lose that ISU-152 because they cannot replace it. However, the Germans lost a Tiger, so that's of course not the best thing as well. I guess this is just pretty destructive for both sides. They're really starting to thin each other out, attrition themselves. But look at how the units are positioned on the map, and try to see who's sort of getting the upper hand, at least when it comes to initiative. Look at where the Allies are. They're basically backed up into a corner. They're like a small sort of child that's getting beaten by, I don't know, his bullies at school. He's like, please don't hit me, I'm gonna hide in the corner. Whereas the Germans were like, yeah, get back from me, bitch. And they've basically took up this concave position. For some reason, none of the sides have decided to harass each other's weak left-hand sides. This one holds fuel cache plus munitions cache for the Allies. So that is, of course, as you can see, the source of a lot of their resource income. Whereas this left-hand side has a VP and a fuel point for the Germans. So it's really puzzling that either side hasn't really gone for the harassment of these areas quite as much as they perhaps should have. Alright. Massive Stuka zu Fuß. Where? Oh. Oh, well done! Amazing. That is probably one of the better Stuka barrages I've ever seen. Destroying 2 Katyushas in one hit. Well done. Well done. That was what I was talking about earlier with the counter battery of the Stuka. The Stuka, if you get a nice hit with the, you know, RNGesus, you're gonna wipe out the Katyusha in one volley. That was pretty good. Absolutely deserves a commendation. That puts the Allies into a bit of a disadvantage on the right side, although the Germans doing their damn best to give the Allies, well, a little bit of their advantage back. They throw one of these Panthers in as a suicide sort of sacrifice. The second Panther comes in also as a suicide sacrifice. I'm not sure what it's trying to do. It dies. Not really surprising that it died. It's more surprising that it did that charge over there. Whereas in the center, of course, the exposed position of the Schwerpanzer quarters is telling, and it's going to get destroyed. Very, 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 very well done by the Allies. So defeats and successes on both sides, although the Germans are coming out on top on at least one front, that would being the VPs. The VPs are right now in the Germans' favor with 277 to 133. Looks like the Allies are still trying to push in deep into the enemy lines. However, that is very, very good because, of course, it's really unbalancing the Germans, forcing them to send their units into one area of the map or the other without really that much of a cohesive strategy. They're definitely on the defensive as it pertains, which is weird because just a couple minutes ago they were on the offensive. Well done. Actually getting the T-34-70, or sorry, that's actually a T-34-85 behind the enemy. Getting the kill on the Zopa Blitzes, doing some good harassment. Looks like the Panthers are going to force it to, well, retreat. The little, I think that was the Flame Hetzer is dead. Looks like the Panthers are trying to charge in against the Su-85s, but the Su-85s are having none of it and they retreat. On the left side, we have a bit of an attempt by these Katyushas to reverse the German tide, and they're probably going to be successful. Yep, they managed to force them to retreat. There's still a lot of German tanks, though. So the squadrons of German armor are basically the main problem for the Allies to deal with right now. And, well, I mean, they do have the tools to deal with them. They have the S2s, they have the T-34-85s, they have the Su-85s. So it's really, at this point, just a question of tactics, whether or not the Allies can get in behind the Germans at the right opportune moment, whether the Allies can avoid getting their Su-85s surrounded and outflanked, like it was in this sort of apocalyptic fight that happened over here, where their Su-85 and Isu-152 basically were destroyed. And yeah, all of that. Wait, what is happening over here? One big problem that the Allies are having right now is that they're not supporting their armor with infantry. Such a basic little concept, and finally, oh boy, thank you, polite people. He's sending in his T-34-76 to the left side, although he's afraid of mines, is he? So you should probably bring up a pioneer, or not a pioneer, sorry, a combat engineer to this side. Otherwise, well, he's not going to really have the ability to do anything. Allies on the right side finally starting to push up very, very aggressively. Gonna destroy the mechanized regiment, which is well done, of course. There's the Schwerpanzer quarters over here that got discovered. And it's in a kind of interesting position because it can't get destroyed by these Su-85s over here. But it cannot really get attacked from this side either because the bridge has been destroyed and there's a lot of debris in the way as well from this end. So this is a relatively safe location. At the same time, it kind of prevents the Allied infantry access to this whole area. So it's well positioned, definitely. And the Su-85s are going to have to retreat, although at this point, this is scary as hell for the Germans. We have 2 Vet-3 and 1 Vet-2 Su-85. So these guys are very, very dangerous. And they need to be put down at all costs by the Germans. Otherwise, well, their armor is really going to start to melt. Although this Su-85 is in a really bad position. Why did you keep it at the front? Really pisses me off. Looks like a satchel charge attempt that wasn't locked onto the Jagdpanzer. Does not do anything. Kills the partisans. At least the Su-85s were able to destroy the Jagdpanzer. Here we have an attempt at a flank of the Su-85s, but not going to be enough. The center is right now being held by the Germans. The Allies are down to 81 VPs, so the Allies really need to start at least making a push towards the left-hand side VP. They need to find some way to get one of the VPs under their control. Otherwise, they have really not much more than 3-ish. Yeah, for 3 minutes and almost a half to regain. Alright, so Allies still on the defensive. Finally, a partisan actually comes through. But these Maxims are crewed by Sturm Pioneers. So the Sturm Pioneers massacre the partisans. That is, well, quite interesting. And the second partisans get behind the machine gun once again. This time they're probably going to be able to destroy it. Here comes, though, a Stuka barrage into the center. Does do a little bit of damage, but not enough. This Veteran C5 Stuka definitely pulling its weight on the match as a whole. Where is it, though? I do not know. 83 kills. That is very impressive for the Stuka. And in fact, the second partisan squad also gets destroyed by the Maxim crew. So this has the double effect of both bringing in a lot of a lot of German infantry in the area where the T-34s were pushing, and wasting a lot of manpower for Sabino. So this is probably a double-edged sword. For some reason, these T-34s are not really using their guns and all of that against the German infantry. They're just trying to crush them. To be fair, it's working out relatively fine, but if they were using their guns, they would be able to destroy this Raketenwerfer, which is right now massacring them. And right now, oh no, it looks like all of the T-34-76s are going to go down. I mean, just because they're T-34-76s, you don't really need to be reckless with them. You can probably safeguard them for later action if you see that this battle that you're about to enter is not that good for you. And looks like at least they were able to destroy the Panther. And the SUs in the center are actually dealing with the Jagdtiger, which has pushed up without any support, which is... well, I don't have to tell you that it's bad. And now the massive mobilization of anti-tank is going to be surging forward for the Allies. This Jagdtiger is in a very bad spot. Here comes the marked vehicle from Serbino, and he should be able to just kind of follow up on this. Why are they not following up? Bring up your Su-85s. There's too many Su-85s for the Jagdtiger to deal with. The Jagdtiger is going to get a free pass out of the battle area because of this. Very, very lucky. Very, 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 very lucky. Looks like the right side, though, is still under the control of the Allies, which is, well, quite good for them. And Sabino going with Pinos. At this point in the game, Pinos, he's definitely lost his faith in the ability of his partisans to deal with enemy infantry units, such as they are. But the Pinos are an interesting choice because you could upgrade some of these to, you know, PTRSs and get some satchel charges down on the enemy units. There goes the Jagdtiger. Finally, the Su-85 is pushing up and managing to deal at the finishing blow. And looks like these Tigers are also in a bad way. Tiger and Panther on the right side are the only vehicles on the German roster except for this Tiger. That means that this Tiger is having to face down 4 Su-85s basically at once, which is, well, you can imagine, not the best idea. This guy probably didn't wake up with that plan in mind. Yeah, we have a bit of an attempt by all these guys to put up a fight, but it's just not enough. Although the Tiger will succeed and survive. Where are the Katyusha? Here comes finally a bit of Katyusha barraging, but it's too little too late. The Katyusha should have definitely intervened a little bit earlier. And, well, now that they've finally intervened, they've gone for the battle group headquarters, which they might be able to destroy with a double barrage. Finally, the Allies having the double VP as opposed to the Germans as one. Oh, that was a very well done rifle grenade destroying all of these guys. 55 kill Grenadier squad sacrifices itself to get the Panzerfaust on the Su-85 and making it 56. Also, the other Su-85 goes down to the Panzer Grenadiers. So all of the Su-85s that participated in this push are dead, and the Jagdtiger is back on the field. Once again, the back and forth never ends, and the Panzer Grenadiers trying to charge in the center are going to have to face with these conscripts, the Papashas, and not going to be able to capture the center VP. So while the Germans re-establishing their vehicle supremacy, once again, they're having problems with the infantry and the map control side of things. Alright, let's take stock of what is left. Well, the Allies definitely still have a healthy tank destroyer force. We have 3 TDs for Sabino. We have the IS-2 for Mialik, and he's building a T-34-85. We have a T-34-76 for polite people, and Arrow is probably about to go with another. No, he's going with a third Katyusha, so that's 3 Katyusha, and 1 Su-85. So he's really going to bring in that artillery, which is, I guess, fine. So that still leaves 3 artillery pieces to 1 of the Germans. Can't say I like those odds that much for the Axis. The Axis, again, 1 Jagdtiger, 2 Tigers, I believe, for both of the Wehrmacht players. We have a Tiger? Yeah, 2 Tigers, 2 Panthers for the Wehrmacht players. And then we have, where's the Blue Division? Okay, looks like he's lost 1 too many Flame Hunters, and he hasn't rebuilt one, good. But he's out of vehicles. So when it comes to vehicles, the Allies, I would say, are in a better position, just due to this sheer amount of firepower that they can put out with those Su-85s, and the superior versatility of their forces, because they just have more classes of units. When it comes to PopCap, however, let's check it out. The Germans are, well, 50, about 70... 105 against 140. Looks like they're about the same. 205, 210 around versus 220-ish for the Allies. So both sides very, very heavily matched still after an hour of fighting. That's at least in terms of units, just total amounts of units. But the compositions that the Allies are bringing, I like them more. And I especially like the fact that they have a better sort of hold on the territories that they have rather than the Germans. Like, if the Germans were in any way challenged for the left-hand side, they would not be able to keep it. Whereas the Allies on the right side most likely are not going to lose anything. Partially also because they seem to have stolen a few machine guns. Partially because they were just able to keep their units in a little bit of a better shape. So now they're left with a more cohesive force. They're left with more... Damn, how is he throwing all these grenades together? Like, how is he throwing the double grenade? And don't truly understand that all that much. Maybe just very, very fast double hotkey clicking? I don't know. S2 still around, 17 kills. Not really the most impressive, but... Again, in 4v4s, the S2's job is kind of just to sometimes get a wipe, soak up a lot of damage. It's not really going to be the decisive unit. The decisive units are going to be the swarms of tank destroyers and artillery that are just serving the Allies so well right now. And, well, yeah, the Panther are going to have to retreat. Jagdtiger is in trouble with 3 Su-85s pounding on it, but, of course... the Stuka has something to say about that, but it misses. And this Tiger is in a bad spot. It does kill one of the Su-85s. And there's... Where's the marked vehicle? Who's being marked? I don't know. Anyway, the Tiger escapes by a sliver of health. Very, very lucky. Oh boy, though. Looks like the right-hand flank is completely collapsing for the Blue Division. And the Soviets, yeah, they're really going to be flooding through this right side of the map. And that's not good for the Germans. Their units don't seem to be in any position to respond to this. Most of their tanks are very heavily damaged. They don't have enough units that can repair, actually. Blau Division finally using up some of that massive manpower flow to get some combat engineers. But it's a little bit too late, as these Tigers and all of that are now just kind of having to wait until they get repaired before they can enter the fight. Whereas the Allied troops, as you can see, are fresh. The Allied vehicles are getting repaired as we speak. So the Allies are in a little bit of a better shape to fight. Here we have a massive Katyusha barrage and a massive Stuka barrage. Stuka gonna hit all of this. The Katyusha is gonna hit into the battle headquarters area once again, further disrupting the repair process on these vehicles. That is not good. Looks like the right side we have a push from Mialik, and that's gonna do fine, to be completely honest, against the Blue Division. But once other units from other Axis players come in, this could not go all that well for the Allies. Ostwind once again, kind of establishing its superiority. Not really sure why Blah Division went for an Ostwind at this point, but sure. I'm not sure why these T-34s haven't yet tried to hunt down the Stuka. 103 kills. Well done. There goes the Ostwind, destroyed by, of course, the Su-85s. Looks like anti-tank gun is going to get stolen away by the Germans. That's actually a very, very bad thing for these Su-85s that have absolutely no way to counter it. Perhaps these two should use the light artillery barrage to destroy the crew of this guy, but looks like they're going to allow him to fight the Su-85s. Yep, there it goes. Stuka coming through. Wah, wah, wah. Not really all that useful. Alright, so what's left? The Allies have a triple cap, and the Germans are down to 156. So if they don't have, well, 2.5 minutes to recapture one of these points, they're going to lose. They have massive floating when it comes to Bla Division and Rommel, Spain. But they're not reinforcing their infantry units. And, well, they've got a few heavy tanks, but they're, of course, very heavily damaged, and they don't have enough pioneers to repair them as well as they perhaps would want to. They also don't seem to be in any way coordinating their efforts. We have the Blue Division just kind of going for the right side by his own. Then we have the other guys kind of clumping up on the left side, then sometimes foraying into the center. An interesting attempt by these pioneers to get into the VP. Probably going to get repulsed by the partisan troops and these conscripts. Although there's two tigers and a panther over here, so perhaps yeah, perhaps the tigers can deal with that. Big push though. Yeah, it looks like the Katyusha are gonna go down here. Actually not getting protected in any way by these T-34-85s. 3 T-34-85s and an Is-2 heavy tank. Is-2 heavy tank getting perilously close to the Stuka zu Fuß. And, well, that's not that good. Looks like we have the SUs, not the SUs, the T-34-85s pushing up to help out their big brother. And this could be a potentially deadly push, destroying the Stuka zu Fuß. The left side still kind of contested. The right side, however, finally, somehow, we have Blue Division managing to push through with the very liberal use of Raketenwerfers. He's been able to deal with, looks like, the Allied vehicles, and the not the Panzergrenadier, the Obersoldaten have managed to deal with the MG head-on. Although Satchel Charge in the center almost wipes out the Obersoldaten from Rommel, Spain. The SUs in the area kind of making sure that no German heavy tanks are allowed in. One of the Tigers is dead. The second Tiger is getting flanked by, it looks like, the T-34-85s. And the T-34-85s miss the Tiger, which is criminally incompetent because it would have been a very, very easy kill. The T-34s are going to go down to both the Jagdtiger and the supporting Panthers. Looks like, however, the center is going to get stopped, or in their attack, they're going to get stopped in the center by the L2 Sturmovik. Colin. The left side, however, is getting captured. The right is recaptured by these conscripts. Why are you not standing here? Stand here and capture. Stand and capture. Stand and capture. It's the VP. Stand into the VP. What are you doing with these conscripts? Get into the VP. Please. Please get into the VP. The enemy has 64 points. Sabino has been replaced by the AI. Why? How? I have no idea. This is bad for the Allies, as right now we have a massive German push using the breakthrough tactics to completely and utterly decap this point in a matter of seconds, this allowing the Germans a little bit more of a breathing space. The Allies are down to 37, and the left-hand side is under the control of the Germans. The right side finally being captured by these conscripts, and the center still being just a very, very no-man's-landy environment. I still have no idea which side really has the upper hand. I would say the Allies, but with the dropping of Sabino, this is not going to be looking all that good for them. Why is this Yacht Tiger here? What is it doing? I have no idea. We need to be very, very careful what we do with our units in this kind of a position. Looks like the conscripts on the left-hand side finally getting a bit of a capture on the VP. Well done. Wait, what? There goes the Su-85. There goes the other Su-85. Well, still not dead yet, but pretty close to being. And on the right side, looks like big problem for Blue Division is going to be the lack of anything that can deal with this S2, so that when the S2 comes in, it's just a massacre, and all of his infantry has been wiped out. Looks like a fair amount of Katyusha fire has fallen into his base, and so he's going to have to escape. T-34 from Polite People going to destroy this Ostwind. And with a triple cap on the field for the Allies and 50 points left for the Germans, I'm guessing that this is going to be the end for them. Unless they can push these units. Why? You have a bunch of Pioneers. Go into the VP. Like, if you have a ton of Pioneers, just suicide them into the VP. It's, you know, the only thing you can do at this point. You might not lose because of it. More Katyusha fire. Falling down the German lines, and again with 25 points, finally a bit of a cap attempt by these Grenadiers, but with 25 points, even a double cap is just going to be mortally dangerous. Looks like the Allies are double firing their artillery, and by the Allies I mean Arrow. I mean, he's still got one in reserve. Because what I like to do in this kind of a situation is only fire one Katyusha at a time, so that then I can have sort of a more extended in time coverage of the battlefield, rather than have the big barrage that may wipe out everything in one blow, but then you don't have any more barrages, so you're basically shit out of luck. You let it do that, and then you barrage again, and that helps you sort of have a safety net in case the enemy has another infantry force coming in to either cap the VP or flank you or whatever it is that you're trying to stop them from. And that's going to be the end. Wow. These are getting ever more exhausting, although I didn't sleep all that much tonight, so might be that. Yeah, I'm sorry for the, I guess, not as lively commentary. What is happening right now in the center? There's just troops from all sides just kind of looking around, being very, very confused with all kinds of weapons. But yeah, I want to thank y'all for watching. Hope you've enjoyed. I will see you soon. As always, have a nice day.